Great, welcome everyone to CNBC's Facebook Live interview. My guest today, the very charming F1 Formula One driver, Marcus Ericsson from the Sauber F1 team. Marcus, good to have you with us, and welcome to our Facebook viewers as well who are joining us as we speak right now. Marcus, so what's life like in a fast lane? Tell me.
Life is good. It's busy, as you can imagine, but it's nice to be here in Singapore. We're quite deep into our season, so it's good. Always nice to be coming back here to Singapore and race, so I'm looking forward to it very much.
Now you're from Sweden. I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, did you always want to be a Formula One driver when you were a boy? Was that your dream?
It's not like the usual thing for a boy in Sweden to be a Formula One driver. It's not the usual dream, I would say. So when I was very young, I was doing ice hockey, but then I really got hooked by Formula One and racing when I was around 8-9 years old. I tested go-kart for the first time and I just loved it. And since then, my dream has been to be a Formula One driver.
Do you remember the day you told your parents you wanted to be a Formula One driver? What did they say?
Yeah, I mean, my dad, I think, was excited about it since he's always had an interest in racing. My mom, maybe not as much, but she also enjoys it very much nowadays.
Have they watched you race?
Yeah, they come out and watch me 3, 4, 5 times a year and support me very much. I speak to them a lot and they watch every race on TV and they are on site.
Have they been to Singapore to watch you race?
They have even been to Singapore, a couple of years back they were here in Singapore to support me, so it's nice.
So Marcus, tell me, what does it take actually to be a Formula One driver? What's the most important quality you need to have?
Of course, be able to drive a car fast is an essential quality to have.
This love for speed you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not only that. It's also the fact that you need to be able to concentrate for up to 2 hours that a race is, and the fact that you need to communicate with a big racing team that's around you to get the setup on the car the best possible for you and your driving style, and a lot of other things, handling media and sponsors around the team. It's a lot of things that include being a Formula One driver apart from only the driving.
Sounds like a tough job.
I love it. I love every second of it, but it's not easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's a very tough job, but it's a very enjoyable one as well.
What sort of physical training do you have to go through? What sort of mental preparation is involved getting into a race?
Driving a Formula One car is a lot tougher than a lot of people think, I would say. So it takes a lot of physical training today to be a Formula One driver. You need to be in top shape, not only physical but also mentally to be able to concentrate for a long race.
So give me an idea of what sort of training you go through specifically.
I do about 2 hours of physical training per day. So that would include cardio training for at least an hour and then some strength training, but not too much strength because I'm not allowed to put on too much muscle because it's always a desire to be as light as possible. So it's a difficult sort of balance there to be strong enough to race, but not too strong that you're getting too heavy. So it's a lot of cardio training and weight training with your body as the weight.
Please don't tell me you have to watch what you eat.
I have to watch what I eat as well. So it's a lot of vegetables and protein, but not so much carbs.
So no soda drinks, and that's why you're having water?
Yeah, that's why I'm having water. Yeah,
everyone's seen him just having water because he's not allowed to drink anything else except water to keep fit.
At least for the race weekend,
So do you have to be of a certain height and weight? I mean, is there a limit as to how much you weigh, how tall you have to be to fit into the car?
Yeah, myself, I'm 180 centimeters, and that's one of the tallest drivers on the grid. And that means also I'm one of the heaviest drivers with my 72 kilos. So it's always a good thing to be light and to be quite small in racing, because that means that you're lighter. It's always good for speed, So it's always good to try and be as light as possible. So for me, being a bit taller, it's more strict for me than with diet and training that I try and stay as light as possible.
So out of curiosity, how much do you weigh?
72 kilos.
Is that considered heavy or light?
That's considered heavy, yeah.
Okay, so you need to lose a few pounds?
I always try and lose some kilos.
You need to lose a few pounds?
I always try, but you need to find a good level there because, like I said, it's really tough to drive these cars, and you need to be strong enough. So even if you maybe lose a couple of kilos, but you cannot keep concentration for the whole race, then it's not worth it.
So when you're actually in the car, when you're racing, how hot does it get in the driver's seat, literally? I mean, I hear temperatures soar when you're actually racing on the track.
Yeah, it gets extremely warm, and especially on races like this in Singapore, coming up this weekend, and also Malaysia a few weeks after. It's probably the two toughest races of the year, especially here in Singapore, being also a street race. So it's really tough here with to keep the concentration, and yeah, being a street race, you don't have time to rest. So then with the heat as well, it's very easy to get dehydrated. And when you get dehydrated, you start doing mistakes. So in the car, it can get up to, I don't know, 50 degrees.
Okay.
And also the heat from the engine sitting behind you, it gets really, really tough.
Okay. Give us an idea of how you stay hydrated, because not a lot of people know this.
Yeah.
Do you reach over and grab a drink, or how does it work?
No, we don't have time for that. So we basically have a system in our cars that is a drinking system with a tube going through the race helmet and into our mouth, so we can keep dehydrated and try and drink during the race. But the problem is we only have about 1 liter of fluid, and then when that liter is finished, that's it. So in a race like Singapore, you drink quite a lot. So after maybe 10-15 minutes of the race, you're finished with the drink, and then yeah, you just have to try and keep up with it, and you will get dehydrated. It's a fact. So you just have to accept that fact and try and still keep concentration and not do any mistakes.
Okay, so when you perspire, I know a lot of people here want to know, where does it go to? How does it go? I mean, how does it? How do you perspire in the suit of yours? I mean, it looks really tight.
Yeah, I mean, this is my race suit that I'm actually wearing now. It's the one I'm wearing in the race, and yeah, it gets quite heavy because of all the sweat. But yeah, that's what happens basically.
Okay. There is a very simple and basic question everybody wants to know here, and it's a burning question, and they want to know what happens if you have this extreme desire to go to the toilet.
Yes.
How much trouble do you have to go to?
I've had this question many times, and it's quite interesting because it's the last thing I do before I'm going to the car to the race is going on the toilet. That's the last thing I do. Then I jump in the car, start the race. But even though I've done that, usually you can get the urge to need to go again, of course.
So do you have a time limit, like you have 20 seconds to do or 10
No,
seconds to do?
but the problem is when you're in the car, you're in the car, so that's it. But the thing is, when you're in the car and you drive, you're so tightly fastened by the seat belts, and you're so concentrated in the focus of the race, that I've had times when I've felt like I need to go on the toilet, but it's impossible because
the feeling goes away?
Yeah, it goes away, or it doesn't. It's not possible because you're so into the race that you don't really have time to think about it.
So it actually goes away, the feeling actually
yeah,
goes away?
I mean, your body doesn't, it's so busy with other things that I don't think you need to think about that as well.
Have you had any embarrassing accidents in all your years of racing?
No, but I know once we had a safety car period, and safety car period means it goes quite slow, so you go behind a safety car basically. And then I was just having this urge, I need to go to the toilet, and I actually tried to go in the toilet in my car, but I couldn't do it. It was like I was too concentrated and had too much adrenaline to relax enough to do it.
Okay, maybe it is not you, but do you know of anyone who's had any embarrassing accidents while they're racing?
I know people that have done it, yes. But it's not very nice for the mechanics.
Okay,
let's put it that way.
Okay.
They have to clean it up after, and that's, I'm sure, not very nice.
Oh, okay. Now that we've gotten to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
And speaking of accidents, when you're a racer and all your experience of driving, obviously you've crashed, probably 1 or 2 times. And how do you get over it? How do you recover from it? What are some of the lessons you've learned? What are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, crashing is part of racing. Even though, of course, we hate when it happens. It's part of the game because when you drive, you always try and find the limit, and sometimes you go above that limit, and that means sometimes you run a bit wide, but sometimes it means you actually crash. And that's part of the game, and it's a risk that we know is there. But yeah, I've had some crashes during the years. Probably the worst one was this year in England, in Silverstone, where I crashed into the barriers doing 220 kilometers per hour. and straightening the barriers, and it was a tough one. You know, it was really.
How do you recover from something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I got to the hospital, they checked me up, and I have to say, you know, I was really impressed to see the safety of the car today. You know, I didn't have any broken bones or anything. I was bruised, but I was fine to drive the next day. But of course, it's not a nice feeling. But like I said, it's part of the game, and it's something you have in the back of your head that it's possible that it will happen. But you don't really spend much time about thinking about it.
I know it's all about strategy. I know it's probably top secret, but is there a way within Sauber, for instance, that you're taught to win, to go ahead, to speed up, you know, to really beat the team? I mean, what's the strategy here?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you look for?
Every race is different, of course, with different circumstances and weather and everything that goes into it. But of course, it's a team, it's a teamwork, and me being the driver, I have a very, very, of course, important role. But also the team around me is extremely important to provide me a good car. We have hundreds of people working in our team, not only on the racetrack, but also hundreds of people in the factory back in Switzerland that does a lot of work. So it's a combination of all of this, you know, that we together do the results. So it's very important for me to work closely together with my engineers, my mechanics, but also the people in the factory to be able to be as fast as possible.
So when you're racing, I mean, you obviously get cues about when to stop, to change your tires. I mean, what sort of cues do you get, and how do you know when to pull over?
Yeah, we have radio communication constantly from the pit wall to the car. So I have in my ears, I have the radio from my engineer Craig. So he tells me things during the race.
What exactly does he tell you?
Everything. It could be to push harder, to catch the guy ahead, or defend from the guy behind, but also more things like when to box, like you said, to change tires. So we always, before our race, put up a strategy about which laps we plan to do the pit stops for tire changes. But this is always constantly updating. So depending on what happens with other cars, with yourself, it can change. So in the end of the day, it's always the team that makes the call. I can tell them that my tires are getting really used now and I'm losing grip. So I think we need to box very soon. But in the end, I need to wait for the call and the confirmation from my engineers that my mechanics are ready to do the tire change, of course.
So you need to have a good feel of the car and the road and when to stop.
Yeah, exactly. It's a combination there, and also not only that, but the team can also count when we do a pit stop where we come out on the track. So if it's a very hectic area of the track where a lot of people are, then maybe we wait a couple of laps and try and clear that area. So it's always a lot that goes into these decisions.
The last couple of years have been pretty tough for the Sauber F1 team. You know, you've had a change of new ownership now, new investment. What's the future of Formula One racing now? What do you see?
I think with Sauber, it's looking a lot brighter than it's been before. Like you say, it's been a difficult couple of years for Sauber as a team. And now, since a month back, it's new investors, new ownership in the team, and that's helped a lot. So we have got some new updates on the cars coming. And it just helps the atmosphere in the team. So I think the Sauber team is going in the right direction, definitely at the moment. So it's I think it will be an interesting future for the Sauber team.
So new investors also mean obviously money is very important. What can you do now as a Formula One driver that you could do previously?
I mean, it's all about budgets and stuff like that to be able to develop a car, for example. The big teams in Formula One have a much bigger budget than the smaller teams like us. But even with smaller budget, you can do good things. So hopefully now, when the team gets a bit more money and a bit more stable on the economic side, we can be able to develop the car this year, and also for the future, you know, they will be able to do a better job. So it's very important, of course.
Have you gotten a pay increment as a result?
No, I don't want to speak about these things, but no, not this year.
What's the reward like, monetary-wise? I mean, if you win a race, I mean, exactly how much can you earn up to? I'm just trying to give our audience here a sense of, you know, what sort of salary you guys pull in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak on specifics there, but of course the best guys in Formula One, the guys who are winning, the world champion, for example, these guys earn a lot of money. I mean, I don't know.
How much is a lot of money?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but you hear figures around 25, 30 million dollars a year, so it's an extreme amount of money, but yeah, maybe one day I will be there, let's see.
Are you anywhere close?
I'm not so close to that now, but one day I will be there, don't worry.
You know, you raced all over the world.
Yeah.
This is not your first time in Singapore. How challenging is the Singapore circuit.
Singapore circuit is the most challenging circuit on the calendar for me.
Why is that? Is it because of the night racing?
No, not because of the night. I think it's more because of the way the track is. It's very tricky track. It's very hectic to drive with a lot of corners. It's not a lot of straights, so it's really a lot of corners. I think the track that has the most amount of corners of the tracks we go to, and the one thing that makes it even harder is the heat and humidity that we have here in Singapore. So them two together makes it the toughest race of the year.
Okay, so tell me how that works. So you need to weigh or balance how it affects the performance of the car, and your performance as well. Is that how you?
Yeah, I mean for the car we obviously have to have a bit different setups from track to track, and this track is a bit specific, being a street track, but also, like I said, the temperatures being very high. So you have specific setups for this track that you try out on Friday on practice sessions and stuff like that. But also for me as a driver, it's a very tough race to drive. We lose up to 3-4 kilos in a race when you sweat out. So it's really important building up to the race that you eat the right things, that you drink a lot, and that you get the hydration on a good level before you sit in the car.
So what exactly do you eat? When you say eat the right things, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, but I eat like a normal diet, but not so much carbs maybe. And then I have my trainer who's sort of picking this up, but not a lot of fast food, like burgers or pizza. It's not the best before the race, obviously. So lean food to be ready, and then also we have the different drinks to get the salt and minerals and vitamins in your system before you go out and drive.
Okay, so you really can't veg up?
No, big meals before the race.
So what's the best thing and the worst thing about being a Formula One driver?
The best thing, of course, is to drive Formula One cars against the best drivers in the world. The kick you get from that is something that is difficult to describe, and it's like a drug, So for me, that is the best thing.
You get addicted.
Yeah, you get addicted. Yeah. So always when you go from a race weekend, you relax a bit, but then you want to get back in the car. So that's the best thing for sure. I mean, there's a lot of good things as well, but that's the one thing that sort of drives all the drivers.
And the worst thing?
Yeah, the worst thing, I think, this is a bit strange, but the worst thing I would say is the traveling, but it's also one of the best things. So it's a bit tricky to talk about, but obviously the traveling is fantastic because we go to so many cool places and it's really nice, but also sometimes it's exhausting because like last year I had about 240, 250 days traveling, and that's maybe the worst thing, spending time away from family and friends. But it's part of the game, and like I said, it's also one of the best things because we go to so many fantastic places.
Any advice for people out there who want to be Formula One drivers?
Advice is to start with go-karts and dream big and really enjoy yourself when you drive the go-karts, and then build up from there.
Okay, and finally, Marcus, before we let you go, how do you hope to do in this year's race here in Singapore?
I'm looking forward to this race a lot. I think it's a good opportunity for us. We've had a quite tricky year. We haven't scored any points yet. So to score our first points is our aim. If that's possible or not, we will see. But that's for sure the goal with the weekend. So let's see if we can do it.
Okay, good luck, Marcus. But before we let you go, we are ready to take some questions from the floor. Vanny, to ask Marcus.
Don't be shy.
Eric, Brenda, I see you raise your hand. Yes, please.
Hi, Marcus. I'm Brenda from CNBC. So I have a question, right? You say, you've raced in a lot of countries. So which is your favorite to race in and why?
Well, we go to many cool places, but actually Singapore is one of the top ones for me.
I thought it was the hardest.
No, but it's really cool race, and not only the race, but everything around it. The whole city is buzzing. I also like Melbourne in Australia. The first race of the year is really a good one. I really enjoy that. Monaco, of course, is Monaco. It's a very legendary race, and the vibe in Monaco on the race weekend is very special. And then a personal favorite, Japan, Suzuka. I've lived there 1 year driving Formula 3, and always enjoy coming back there.
Another question from the floor? Anyone?
Okay, can I ask?
I'll ask. So when the race finishes, how do you spend your time before the next race starts all over again?
Yeah, the time is usually a lot of training. Like we said before, I have a trainer that's with me and put up a training program for me. So we do a lot of training and also preparing, of course, before the next coming race with my team. So going through stuff with setups, etc., together with engineers. So yeah, usually that's the main things that we focus on.
So no late nights?
It happens, but you have to pick your moments. Like we said, you need to be really fit and you need to be, really good shape, and that's why you need to pick your moments.
Any other question? Yes, JJ.
Hi Marcus, great to have you here in Singapore. May I ask which F1 icon do you look up to when you're young or
I think for me personally, coming from Sweden, my sort of hero would be Ronnie Peterson, who was driving Formula 1 in the 70s, and he's from the same city as me in Sweden, so I would say he's like the legend, the hero for me. But also current drivers like Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando Alonso was the guys that I was looking up to, who were already in Formula 1 when I was starting go-kart or doing go-karts when I was younger. So to be able to race against these guys now is a bit unreal, but they are role models that I look up to as well.
Any other questions? One more, yes please.
I'm James from ABC. Do you need a special license to drive this and extend across the globe to get certified, or like a pilot's license?
We have all the drivers need to have a super license that you qualify to get. So basically, it's like a driver's license, I guess, that you need to have to be able to drive a Formula 1 car.
Any other questions? Yes. Mike to this gentleman.
Hi Marcus, would you like to race when Formula 1 had the big V12s?
I think that would have been cool. Yeah, I've watched a lot of videos of it, and it looks really impressive. But still, I think today as well, it's really impressive the way that we have the V6 turbos with the technology that goes into it. It's also impressive. But of course, if I got the chance, I would love to try it. Yeah.
Any other questions before we wrap it up? If not, a big thank you to Marcus Ericsson for talking to me. Good luck on the race.
Thank
this
you so
weekend.
much. Thank you. Thanks, guys.